I'm a writer, a professor, and a researcher in creative writing. And I would like to tell you about my idea of creative writing, my research. I will build this idea here so you can see it, I hope. And to do that, I will start showing you this exhibition, or a small part of it, the text. It was the first exhibition at the Tate Modern in London, the museum, 2001. Century City, as you can see and read, explored the relationship between cultural creativity and the metropolis by focusing on 9 cities. That's important. At specific moments over the previous hundreds of years, at that moment, particular periods, these cities have acted as crucibles for innovation. One of the cities was Paris, the first 40 years of the last century. The beginning of the 20th century, Paris was the unrivaled center of the art world. Paris acted as a magnet for a remarkably international range of artists, writers, poets, and musicians. They met in the studios, cafes, and bars of Montmartre and Montparnasse, creating a culture of cross-fertilization and collaboration. All right? So they met. That's important. A culture of cross-fertilization and collaboration. That's a part of the text of the catalog of that exhibition. That's a part of the text of James Voorhees. He's an art critic in New York. That's of the site of the Metropolitan Museum that they met in New York, talking about the so-called School of Paris. So from 19 to 1940, Paris was the center of artistic activity. He will also say that French capital fostered an inspiring climate of imaginative cross-fertilization. The same word, cross-fertilization. Why? Why I'm talking about Paris here and creative writing studies of Brazil? First of all, because that's the idea of my new book. I also say, well, was Remy Brazilian? You know he was not, but I love this story. And in fact, I forgot to say one thing, go back. Why? Because I want to tell you a story, all right? That's what we do in general in creative writing. That's the story of a boy, of a man, well, he was 22. He didn't have written anything really, really good. He didn't have read anything really, really good. He was not intellectual, but he wanted to write. And he went to Paris, all right? Or he went to a place where he could meet another artist, okay? And in 4 years, he became a reference in literature. He started to write well. That could be Patricia Tenorio's story. That could be my story. That could be Guilherme Zambuja's story, or Fred Linard's story, or Bibiana Irka's stories. Well, we are not still a reference, but maybe one day. But we went to a place where we could develop our writing. But that's also the story of Ernest Hemingway. Please, Patricia. But talking about Hemingway, so he went very, very young, I think, to Paris. And he learned, somehow he learned, as we say, he learned what we cannot teach. Even in a creative writing course, we don't teach anyone to write. We stimulate, okay? You have to learn by yourself. It's your journey. You have to find your way. So he met like Gertrude Stein, he met Ezra Pound, he met James Joyce, and he learned with them, but also he met Picasso, he saw the museums, he saw the Russian ballet, Stravinsky. All that had an effect on him, and he started to write in a different way, or better, he found his way. And that's the idea of a creative writing course. That's at least my idea. Patricia, please. Why? Why all that? Because that's my idea of creative writing. That's what I write about. I love Hemingway's stories. That's why I wrote a book about him. I love Paris in the 20s. I want to show how he became a writer using his letters that are being published. So 85% of them were not published before. So the biographers didn't read the letters before. And I want to show him as a human being. That's another story. Not only the drunk guy or the macho guy, but a human being, a sensible human being, as a writer, well, as any writer used to be. I want to show the community, the importance of the creative community to develop a writer, because that's my idea of creative writing. That's part of one of my articles on an academic review. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about creative writing. An environment that encourages reading, research, and above all, the production of texts with literary skills, both in the fields of fiction and non-fiction. That's my definition of creative writing. The environment, all right? You don't have to be in academic world to have this environment. Like Patricia, in Studies of Creative Writing, she created this environment, okay? An online environment, okay? And I discovered it's not only my idea, of course. Well, like it's Denver University idea also. We offer an environment for writers who are also serious and cross-disciplinary readers. Cross-disciplinary, cross-fertilization. But the community, an article from New York Times. Why? The question was why people go to creative writing course. Primarily, it seems for human contact and the feeling that their desire to write is not a delusion, but a respectable vocation. And that's very important, you know, the psychological part of it. It's like half technique, half psychological. And the environment can do that, all right? And to arrive, and my new idea about that, or it's to use the term creative ecosystem. That's a term primarily used to business, has been in circulation since 2000, when it first appeared in Business Week, the magazine, define a form of infrastructure, an entire system that creative activity emerges. Well, it's about business, but we can adapt that to write, I think. This ecosystem helps to cultivate creative thought. Creative people, and distinct creative places. Well, creative art is also a place, even if symbolic, okay? Encouraging the creative class, here we have the creative class, to visit and participate in said places and activities at those places. So that's, as I said, my idea of creative writing. All right? Thank you very much. I think that's it.